But if I get elected president,
we're just going to tune back in. We're just going to wait for folks to tune back in. Because Zuck froze me.
And stronger.
So we'll just wait.
Ever before.
Well, let's do a little laser snake now.
Make America
while we tune back into this.
Thank you.
Trump Talk US. This is what you're watching.
2016.
Welcome back.
Year of the snake. Time for a change.
Welcome back to the show. Welcome back, Mike. Welcome back. Zuckerberg. Every time. But I got my laser snake going. While we get a little people coming back to the show.
If you want the real deal, then you gotta get a real nigga. Want a real.
Welcome back to the show. Welcome back, Chris. See, that's what we do. We just fight Zuckerberg. We just fight him. Freezes us. We're like, oh well. Too bad, Zuckerberg. I'm coming back. I was on a rant. I think that's why he was mad. But now, we got some laser snake going. So we'll let people get on back in the show. Just enjoy a little laser snake. Laser with a Z. Yep, don't forget to share, everybody. Do not forget to share. Let everybody know we're back. He should know by now we don't give up. I know, I feel like he should have realized that we're just going to keep doing this. When I was on Periscope, you guys, when I was on Periscope last year in 2016, there were times we would start the show 5, 6, 7 times. Over and over. Because Periscope would freeze me up and we'd have to start the show again. So, we're going to start the show again. Click the share button. Let everybody know. Hopefully everyone will continue to tune back in as they find the show. You are watching Trump Talk US. And, of course, we are connected and affiliated with Stand With POTUS PAC. So here, FEC, take that. Take that, legal people trying to run our government. So, we're talking about immigration policy. People are going to come on back in as we're talking about it. And we were talking about one of the things that the United States is so great for is people coming from other countries and being able to learn things and take those things back to their own country and improve those countries. And through that model of immigration, hey, Lisa, how's it going? Lisa was my ghost. She's at MAGA meetups this week at Trump International here in D.C. We met a lot of great MAGA candidates. We had a great time. If you are anywhere in the DMV, I think that's what they call it, D.C., Maryland, Virginia area, you should be there second Tuesday every month. Absolutely great place. When Fred from Overpasses comes in, he'll click share on the share over there to Overpasses, and we'll thank him for Overpasses and all the great stuff they do to help promote the show and actually just to promote the country. So we'll give him a little plug a little bit later. So we here in the United States have an ongoing, we have an obligation, I think, to be the best America we can be. And we do that not by this pity immigration mentality. That's what we had gotten to before Zuckerberg decided he didn't want me to talk about the pity immigration policy, because I think we're touching on a nerve with the left, because they really are obsessed with the idea that we should be accepting all of the people, the poor, the hungry, the refugees, that our immigration policy should be based more on we should feel bad about what we've created here in America, and that we're just lucky to have created all those things, and that we should then somehow feel a responsibility to the rest of the world to accept them. Now, it's a delusional concept, because if you actually follow their logic all the way through, what they're actually suggesting is that places where people are living in poverty, in garbage, in filth, in decay, shitholes, okay? People who live in shitholes should all come live in the United States, and we should just leave the shithole. Don't fix it. We should just feel guilty here in America. We should bring all those people here. That's the basic liberal refugee concept, is that what we really want to happen is just bring all the people, which is insane. It doesn't make any sense. And it's actually more bigoted, more racist than the idea that we want you to, and I totally agree with Joyce, what she said, well, I'm going to mention in a minute. We want you to be the best you can be, And we want to be the best we can be. You know, that's a very different mentality from we should feel guilty for being the best we can be. And so we should, you know, make you as good as us and not actually let you make yourself good. The idea that these countries cannot come up, cannot rise themselves up through trade, cannot raise their people up through improvements in self-governance, in liberty, in democracy, in all of these things that we know countries can do to improve the lives of their citizens, to improve the lives of their people. When we say, just come here, what we're saying is forget that. It's too much of a shithole. And so then we get mad when Donald Trump calls out the fact that what we're doing is leaving these countries barren, with this idea that you shouldn't even have to live there. You should be able to come in here, live here. Now, unfortunately, that's very different from the idea of inviting people to come here and then they go back to their country with knowledge, with information, with resources, with connections that they can use to improve the situation. And that is a way that we in the United States should get back to. But one of the things that's stopping us from doing that is this liberal ideology of pity immigration, as opposed to, oh, no problem, pity immigration, as opposed to merit immigration. And what Joyce Williamson Lenardi says, it was up to the church to take care of the poor, not the government. Yes, the government is not here to take care of the poor and the needy. It was here to protect us and to handle the immigration for our country, to protect our borders and protect us from people who might want to come here and do harm. That is what the federal government is designed to do. It's not designed to feed the poor, clothe the clothesless, house the homeless, and bring every refugee from every part of the world here to the United States to fund, basically, to pay for their living. We do better as a country when we bring people in on a meritorious system, on a system of what can you bring to the United States. And one of those things a very acceptable thing, I personally find it very acceptable to bring this, drive, an ambition to learn, goals, an idea on how you're going to accomplish those goals. I'm happy to bring people here from foreign countries to go to school. I'm happy to bring people here and help educate people. I'm happy to bring people here. What I'm not happy to do is bring permanent residents here from in refugee status from countries that actually need people there helping make that country better again. It's one of the problems we have with our neighbor to the south, Mexico, is that the nation of Mexico has fallen into a horrible state because two things. One, the people who want to work, okay, have figured out how to get here. The people who are willing to work within the drug cartels are the ones who are getting them across here. So we've actually left the citizenry more criminal by bringing people here who want to work, who want to, quote unquote, try to make a better life for themselves. So we haven't done any service to Mexico by doing that. We've actually depleted them of their own citizenry that could stand against these horrible changes in their culture, could stand against cartel culture and cartel control of the government, and could do something to get involved with their government and make it great again. But they can't. They're here. Okay? They're here sending little scraps of money back over the border that the cartel then can control. So we unfortunately, by our pity immigration policy, yet again, we not only harm ourselves by bringing people here who have no means to benefit the country and frankly have no means to benefit themselves. We do worse for their country by taking those people who might even have a gumption to do anything for the country, and we take them away from the environment and away from the situation so they can't actually improve that situation. We do better to help people. If you're going to help people, you do better to help people in your own country, in their own countries, and build up their countries from within than you do just smuggling them across the border and forcing them to live in basically indefinite servitude. Because as an illegal immigrant here in the United States, you don't have job security, you don't have wage security, you don't have any of these things because you don't have any rights. And so it actually is a system by which we keep slavery or a form thereof going. So, it continues to be a problem. And Joyce, you're totally right. Teaching that, we have these visa programs. We have multiple visa programs. I understand and I'm happy to have educational visa programs. These are something we need to actually look at it a little bit better, because it doesn't do anybody any good to have people come here on a visa program to study basket weaving or social justice warrior crap, okay? They need to learn engineering. They need to learn math. They need to learn STEM skills that they can take back and help their country. They need to learn medicine. They need to learn teaching. They need to learn international policy, things that actually will help. So the idea that we want this liberal, fluffy mentality in our college education, in our immigration, in our educational visa system, let's just talk about educational visas for a second, is ridiculous. We need to, even in that system, talk and think about who we are bringing in and why. Why are we bringing people in? Does it benefit the United States, and does it benefit the individual coming in? If it doesn't do either, if it doesn't benefit their home country that they will return back to by giving them knowledge and some kind of skill, and if it doesn't benefit us by having somebody who is smart, who is educated, who wants to work here in the United States for a period of time, pay some taxes, then what good does it do? It doesn't do our immigration policy literally just becomes shuffling people around and keeping them in a second-class citizen status, which in fact supports the exploitation that allegedly the left is opposed to. So even in our education visas, now we all know when it comes to work visas, we have severe problems with the work visa program in this country, because we are allowing corporations who have this, my little burner friends might appreciate this. We are allowing corporations who have large funds available to cover the compliance costs, okay, should they get caught abusing the visa process. We allow them to just cover those costs, and so they are able to bring people to the United States to do jobs Americans are in fact qualified to do. And the reason they bring people here is because foreign workers will do the work cheaper. And we know that's happening, particularly on the large-scale corporations, because they can afford the costs of paying if they get caught. So it becomes just a cost of doing business, and it's one of the reasons that we have such corruption and such cronyism in our system, because large corporations can pay for lobbyists to write these laws. They can pay to get around the laws, and smaller companies have to pay going rate for the work that big companies can bring people in on these work visas. Now, we've been told lie after lie after lie when it comes to immigration and work. We have been told that we need to bring people into this country because the United States worker can't or won't do the work. Both of those things are untrue, you guys. Not only do we have people in this country who are able to do almost all of this work, a significant source of this work, but we have some of the best training facilities in the country and can quickly train people to do the work. So the idea that we are bringing people in because Americans aren't able to learn about the work we need done is absurd. We're not actually supporting teaching people those skills. We're continuing to support people learning, women's cultural struggle, the political ramifications of the Mayan. We are filling our colleges with fluff, and we are not focusing. And where we focus programs that encourage STEM skills, science, math, technology, engineering, when we focus on those skills, we actually have we have the best people in the world. We certainly don't need to bring people in from other countries to do that work. Now, on the other hand, we've also been told we have a lot of jobs that people in America just won't do. They refuse to do and they won't do. And that's not true at all. People in America are hardworking people. Look, like right now, all of you are going to hard-workedly push the share button because you're good hard workers and you want to defeat Zuckerberg. So, thought I'd throw that in there. We actually, if you've watched Steven Crowder, I love Steven Crowder. I hope you all watch Steven Crowder, Louder with Crowder. He does some great segments. He did a recent segment about this exact topic. And he went to try to hire day laborers to, hey Kim, how's it going? Welcome, welcome. He tried to hire day laborers to do some construction work and to find out the rate of work. What he found is that these illegal immigrants who are here doing construction work often make $50 an hour or more. Now, many Americans will happily do physical labor for that work. We have been constantly told Americans will not pick strawberries. Americans will not do construction. Americans, and they keep caving back. You know, it used to just be, oh, Americans won't bend over all day picking strawberries, but they'll do other farm work. Okay. And then they're like, oh, Americans won't do any farm work at all. Well, we're a nation of farmers. We literally came up in farm culture. What? We, of course, will do the work, but we're told that. Then we were told it was no construction. Then we were told, oh, no, Americans don't want to be electricians. They don't want to do all of the decay. Until what we have is, instead of the system I grew up in, where young men, young women even, but predominantly, it was a very male-dominated culture at the time, could get into construction, could get into these trades and learn a life skill and get the skills necessary to receive licensure in order to be a licensed technician. We had more licensed people on any job site when you were building. If you go to a job site today, you know as well as I do, usually there is one person actually licensed to do the work that they are doing, and there are several people there, often of questionable legal status, doing the work for very less money than we would actually have to pay American citizens. And so again and again and again, we are told Americans won't do the work, but what they really should be telling us is the truth. The truth is it's cheaper when we use illegal labor who have no rights here. And when we continue to impose we're helping you in the job market by creating a minimum wage, by creating all of these job regulations, by making it actually possible and sometimes even easy for employers to hire illegal labor instead of you, actually. That's what our policies are doing, which is why we need to fix the immigration policy. Yes, Chris, it's why we have so many problems in general with quality of buildings. We certainly, like they said, when they say they don't make it like they used to, one of the reasons they don't make it like they used to is we no longer have qualified people doing the work. We have one qualified person overseeing the work. And we've facilitated that through all of these ins and outs of legal regulations written by major corporations who are happy to have the illegal labor and make the extra money off of it. So, our immigration policy is flawed at best. I mean, it's the nicest thing I can say about it. It is flawed, and in part because of this social justice warrior mentality. Yep. Joyce says, my grandparents came to Arizona in 1937, worked in the lettuce shed. Poor Americans working in the farm. It's how this country was made great in the first place. My grandparents came from corn country. I have a picture of me, little bitty me, little kid, standing next to the big corn on my family's farm. Not my family's, but my great, very times removed. I wasn't lucky enough to inherit a farm. But we as Americans we've inherited that work ethic and that culture. And we have been told by our politicians, particularly on the left, particularly in these pity immigration ideologues, we've been told, oh, Americans don't want to do this work. And we've decayed industry after industry with that false information. When in reality, what we've done is the reasons Americans can't do the work is we have undermined the wage. It's one of the reasons we want to talk about immigration. I'm really proud of my president for continuing to bring up the subject of immigration in more and more powerful ways. Frankly, one of the things he did by saying the word shithole was literally get everybody in the country now talking about immigration and our immigration policy. So we can actually start talking about how are we bringing people into this country? Are we bringing people in out of pity immigration? Or are we bringing people in out of merit immigration? Are we trying to bring people in because we feel white guilt? Or are we trying to bring people in because we are a shining beacon on the hill of knowledge, education, and resources that we can actually not only help our own country, but help the future of the world. Yes, and Mary, the problem is when we continue to lower wages by bringing, it's supply and demand, okay? If I have 10 people who want 5 jobs, I have 2 people for every job, okay? That means as an employer, I can pay you less because I can always go to the other and go, hey, will you take less? And they'll go, yeah. And so I hire that guy, I pay a little less, okay? Now, when I bring illegal labor into the country, I just make more people for each job. And what's unfortunate about illegal labor is that the people in that group are now not equal anymore, okay? Because the citizen cannot take less than a certain amount by law. But an illegal immigrant can, in fact, take less because they're outside of the law. And this is how companies get around it, but that also then lowers the wage, okay? It lowers the average wage because this employer is now paying less, okay? Here's the minimum, here's the average, here's what we want. This employer is paying less because he's paying illegals, okay? So now, that employer, plus all these employers, lowers the average wage. It's like a little weight. People who are paying less than the average, less than the minimum because of illegal labor, lower, see how it even lowers the top? It lowers the wages for everyone because it takes the workforce as an aggregate and makes more people able to work under the bar of poverty, under the bar of minimum. It doesn't do any good to set up minimum wages if we don't get rid of illegal labor. Please, somebody tell the left that. Please, somebody inform the left. It does not do any good to set up minimum wages if you don't control illegal labor. You're creating an arbitrary line in the sand that actually prevents Americans from getting jobs while providing a rich environment for illegals getting hired. It's one of the problems we have with illegal labor. It's literally lowering the wage base for all of us, lowering wages for everyone. So yes, now you have a situation where Americans can't afford to do that job. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for telling the left. They need to know that. I mean, somebody needs to help them understand that they want to feel sorry for people and help them out, but their pity is literally hurting them more. You're literally hurting the people that you want to help more. Rather than bringing them here legally through many, many means. We have migrant worker programs. We have visa There are many ways you can come to this country, work here legally, learn things, use those skills here in the United States, make money, go back, or stay, get your citizenship, become part of the country that you live in. There are many ways to do that. When you do it illegally, you've not only they've hurt themselves, they've hurt the country that they're from, they've hurt our country as well. So illegal labor is doing nothing to aid America or those illegals, and yet the left continues to push for it. Now, let's take a deep breath and refer back to the president's comments today, because one of the talking points, the rage points, that's what you call them, rage points, because they don't talk about it, they just rage. One of the rage points the left has had about Donald Trump calling certain countries shitholes is that it's allegedly racist or bigoted or whatever to speak, to speak honestly about countries where people are suffering. Now, again and again and again, we have this idea of pity taking over reality. When we no longer see the reality that those countries are living in, because we feel so much pity, and we all have I'm sure you all have been on your little feeds, have your little lefty friends talking about, oh, but the Haitians are such good people. No one said the Haitians weren't good people, or the Colombians, or the Pakistanis, or the Cubans. Nobody said any of these people, Dominican. We could go on in Venezuela. Nobody's ever said Venezuela, okay? The Venezuelans are bad people just because their country's a shithole right now, but it is. Because socialism, because statism, because collectivism has turned the country into that environment. That's a statement of, this is a mess and something needs to be done about it. And certainly the thing to be doing is not just bringing everybody out of the shithole and bringing them over here and making this a shithole too. Now we have 2 shitholes. That actually doesn't help anything. And if you think that isn't happening, go up to Dearborn, Michigan. Go to some of these areas where we have enclaves of immigrants, refugees, people who have come here from Somalia, another shithole, okay? People who have come here from many, many shitholes around the world, but instead of integrating into society because they came here to learn and to better themselves, they actually have put themselves into little enclaves because they came here to be refugees. They came here to escape from what they were in, not to make themselves better and to get out of that hole themselves, or to make that hole, bring their people out of the hole in their own country. So when we're talking about refugee programs, we need to be bringing people here who want to make their country better, not people who want to run away from their country. And that's just a fact, not just for I repeat, not just for America. This is, if you notice, I haven't talked about terrorism here in the United States. Bringing people here from these countries is very dangerous because of terrorism. We've barely begun to talk about what it's doing to the wage base here. I'm talking predominantly about what it does for people that we're bringing in, because the left, they're all a bunch of whiny pity baby. They want to pity everybody, even when it does no good. And if we can teach them one thing, it should be that their pity is actually harming the people they pity. Again and again and again. So, when we have people who we bring here and they came here not to better themselves, not to learn, but to actually just be rescued, escape, we end up with these pockets, and it's happening all over Europe. It's happening here in the United States, and we do not actually better their lives because they feel isolated, they get embittered, they feel even more of a divide, because now you're actually looking at the divide here in the country. And many of them come here and take welfare, become entitled. They feel entitled. They're taking taxpayer dollars to sit here and be angry with us. Raise kids that go back to Syria and decide to join ISIS and then come back and try to drive trucks into people. This happens because they're disenfranchised, because they're not included, because they didn't come here to be included. They came here to escape. It always begs the question, Mary, 100%, why would people come here to escape the mess in their own country and proceed to recreate that same mess here? And psychology would actually answer that question for you, okay? Because when I'm running from something that I didn't deal with, and we all know this in our own lives, when you're not, I'm not dealing with it, then it comes right back, bites you in the butt, and you have to deal with it anyway. When you have left a country without understanding what is causing the problems in your country, which in a lot of these places that we have refugees, and the recent flood of refugees from Middle Eastern countries, a lot of it is radical Sharia government. It is the oppressive, religious Islamic government that is killing people, beheading people, torturing people, raping people, taking people's money, stealing people's property, collectivizing the citizenry. This is what they're running away from. But if they don't understand that's what they're running away from, it doesn't do any good. And frankly, some of them aren't running away from it. They're actually trying to bring that here. That is a fact as well. There are people who are coming from these countries literally trying to bring statist Sharia government here to the United States. So that's a fact as well. We are bringing people here by pity, but we now endanger ourselves through terrorism. We don't help the individual. We bring them here to a very cloistered life that likely leads to more disillusionment and disenfranchisement. Our country didn't get better. Their country didn't get better. Good job, left. What if we did this? Let's talk about the immigration policy that Donald Trump supports, that I support, that rational individuals with compassionate hearts for real human beings actually support, and that is a merit-based immigration system. Now, we all know there's many countries around the world, and Australia for one, New Zealand for one, they have a merit-based system that has many different points. So if you have a certain education, you get a certain number of points. If you have resources, you get a certain, if you own a business, you get a certain number of points. If you speak the language, you get a certain number of points. There are Yeah. Cindy, it was the left and Obama who forced the crisis and a lot of the problems we're having now. So we have all these different ways in which you can get points to add up to a merit score. One of those is, are you accepted into a college? Have you been accepted already? So we are bringing people in who have ambition. They have goals. They've come here for a reason and they want to better themselves. That's why they're coming in. That's what a merit system does. Because people who, the left loves to talk about privilege. What they don't want to talk about is when you have merit, okay, when you have somebody who has gone and taken the time to do the work, okay, they've studied in their home country and they now want to come here and further their education. They've done the work there. We can see that on their little merit sheet. Oh, you've got this bachelor's degree in your college, and these are what your grades were, and this is what you're trying to study. That looks great. We know that the person coming in is not only trying to do what's best for them, but is going to contribute in some way. They're not going to be isolated in the same way that someone who doesn't speak the language, who doesn't have any goal in being here other than living, surviving, and frankly is very traumatized by the situation they've been in last. We bring people in who can actually benefit themselves and thus benefit the country. When they come here with skin in the game, they will be productive citizens. That also, Cindy and Mary and Joyce and all the people listening today, that also makes them better citizens when they go back to their country. When their visa is up, which, by the way, we need to start making sure that when visas are up, they go back. We can't have this extended visa stay. People stay past their visa all the time. Send people back, but send people back with skills that are relevant to their country to help make their country a better place to live. We actually improve the situation, not just for one refugee, but for all citizens of whatever shithole they came from. Because we send people back who can help. That is far more compassionate. That merit-based system where we're bringing here people who have ambition, have skills, have something they bring to the table to show us they're not just here to survive, but they're here to thrive. When people come to thrive, they do better. They do better for us, they do better for them, and they do better for the country they've come from. So when Donald Trump talks about, do we want to let people in from shithole countries, when we can be letting people in from developed countries, he's asking a very real question. One, does that country even like us? Are we letting people in from countries who hate us, who oppose our existence, who seek to destroy us, who fund our enemies? Or are we letting people in from countries who love America, who support America's principles and Constitution and our ideas? We should ask that. Are they coming from a country that even likes us? Why are they coming here? Why? Why are you coming here? And then if your answer is, I'm coming here to do something, versus I'm coming here to get away from something, that's something we have every right as an American citizenry to ask. And frankly, we have every obligation as a compassionate people to ask, because helping people run away from their country while doing nothing to fix the problem in the first place merely lengthens the suffering of the problem in the country they're in and of the people here. It actually just moves them to a new place to suffer. I too, Cindy, am personally glad that the president has said what everyone else has said and thinks. They're mad because he uses real words to describe real things rather than this pity, PC fantasy that we continue to talk about. Now, I wrote an article today in the Political Storm. If you get a chance to read it, it is on my page, Suzzanne Monk Nation. That's my Facebook girl, Suzzanne Monk Nation. So you can go check that out. And it talks about PC culture and what PC culture has done to our government. So on top of the fact that it's doing nothing for our immigration, it's doing nothing for our labor force, okay, this pity mentality, pity immigration, I call it. It's done nothing for the countries that these people come from. It's done nothing for global security or trade for other countries that are adjacent to those countries. It's done nothing for them, made it worse for them. It's hurt Europe, it's hurt the United States, it's hurt workers, it hurts citizens, it hurts the individuals who come here because now they're in horrible situations. They literally are in a shithole situation now because they can't work, because they're illegal. And if they do work, they can be treated however they want, in very bad ways. But let's talk about politics itself. When we have the politics of pity, when we have the politics of political correctness, and political correctness is just is code word for feel sorry for the right people or feel guilty for the right things, for what we say. You should feel guilty you should feel sorry for people, you feel guilty for yourself. Exactly. And Cindy says that only the brainwashed liberals would realize that our side is for the help of all who wish to help themselves. And if they would realize that if you're not willing to help yourself, you can't be helped. How about that? Okay? There's some interesting programming when it taught with liberal individuals who've gone out to deal with homeless people. And they go out and they talk to the homeless people. They try to get them the help. They try to get them inside. They try to do all these things. And they found a lot of resistance from the homeless people themselves. Homeless people did not accept the help that these liberals offered. They were very upset at first. But a few of them actually learned a very important lesson. You can't help people who don't want to help themselves. You just physically can't do it. You can only put them in a different version of their bad situation. If they are not willing to help themselves, you can only put them in a different version of their bad situation. So if someone is a drug addict and they don't want to get off drugs, you can put them in rehab, but now they're just in a different version of the bad situation. Now they're just in a place where it's harder to get the drugs that they think they need and that they're not going to get off of. Okay? So now it's just harder. You just made them more stressed out. You haven't actually helped them. As soon as they get done being in that little temporary situation, you've put them in to help them. They're going to go right back to who they were because they didn't want to help themselves. So they weren't capable of receiving the help you offered. And the same thing is with our immigration policy going on. Now, that's the politics of pity. The politics of pity tries to help people who don't want to help themselves. It wastes time, it wastes money, and it actually sometimes even puts those people back in a worse situation than they were. Sometimes when you try to help people without them wanting to be helped, they actually end up worse off because now they have less faith in themselves, they have less hope in the situation, and they've already now burned another resource that might help them. It's actually psychologically very damaging to continue to help people who don't help themselves because they just learn that they're worthless and ensconce that bad situation in their life. When you, however, help people who are willing to help themselves, miracles happen. And so it's one of the problems we have with our PC culture and pity politics. Now, for decades, we have been living in a PC world of politics. Every politician has to pretend to be perfect. They have to pretend they don't cuss. They have to pretend they don't cheat on their wives or husbands. They have to pretend they didn't do drugs. They never do drugs. Oh, they don't drink to excess. They don't do any of these things. We're perfect. I've focus grouped the perfect words to say, and I never say the bad words. And if I do say the bad words, I apologize immediately. Or if I hear someone say bad words, I disavow those bad words because we have this Stepford politician mentality that these plastic individuals are the perfect people that lead us. Now, what this has led to over decades and decades and decades of time is people not feeling they run their own government. Okay? Because I can't be a perfect Stepford politician. I swear. I'm real. I say words that people don't want to hear. Okay? I'm not the PC perfection that we expect from our politicians. So by putting this false idea that all politicians have to be PC, they say anything un-PC, we should all freak out. We've actually separated ourselves from self-governance, from the idea that we can govern, from the idea that the average citizen can govern, because we're not perfect like them. They're not perfect either. And we all know that. So that's the second thing we've done is we've actually created an inherent lie in our political system. We've created, I think the PC people are jealous of the liberty you have when you don't live in lies and you live in truth. It's so much more freeing. It's so much more freeing to be normal people. And this is the government we were given. We were given a government by and for normal people. What we are receiving is a government by a class of political elites who are groomed to be the Stepford politicians that we are now expecting. Okay? What that has done is separated us from citizen governance. Now, it's politicians who are groomed, and then the citizens, we're over here, we're not really worthy of it because we might say shithole. Okay? This is what we have gotten to when we elected Donald Trump. When the Donald Trump movement when Donald Trump came down on the escalator and said things that melted down the mainstream media because they were un-PC, every one of us citizens, our ears went, what? And the mainstream media said, you can't talk like that and be elected. That's un-PC. Well, that's not you have to be PC. You have to be PC perfect to be elected in this country. Don't you all know? Citizens can't be politicians. Politicians, groomed, carefully trained to be PC. Only they can lead the country. You citizens can't lead the country. And we said, let's see. Now Donald Trump is still doing good in the polls. Maybe we can lead this country. And we continued on. And Donald Trump said something else crazy that pissed everybody off. Was real talk, raw human language. Okay? Media freaked out. Oh, you can't be a politician and say that. You can't be a politician and say that. You real people who say real things can't be politicians. Haven't you learned by now? You can't lead this country. He's never going to win. He can't possibly win, and we win. Poll numbers are still up, so maybe he can win. And we continued on. And it went on like that, day after day after day after day. That is all of 2016, day after day after day, until what we got to November, and we elected Donald Trump. We actually proved to them the opposite of what they have been telling us the entire time. You have to be PC to be elected. You can't say the wrong word. You can't offend anybody. If you offend anybody, you'll never be elected. Heck, if you're a Republican in a blue state, don't even tell people you're a Republican. That might offend them. This is what we had gotten to. And then we elected Donald Trump. And what Donald Trump says every day when he tweets something the news doesn't want him to tweet, or when he says a bad word, what he says and what he is saying to all of us across the country and to the world, real citizens can be governors, leaders, president of this country. People run America. People who say bad words, people who say harsh things, people who attack their enemies, people who disrespect them. Those are human qualities. Human beings do, in fact, run this country. And that is why you see across country, and Mary knows better than even I know at this point, a wave of citizen politicians rising up from their daily lives to run for office and to take back this country. Because Donald Trump has let us know, his very existence has let us know one thing. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be PC to help run this government. And that has freed the people up from a Stockholm mentality we had up until then, that politics were only for the political elite. It has opened the door back up for the American citizenry to engage in politics, because we know, once again, real human beings say bad words. And Cindy says, how could anyone not say many bad words dealing with that bunch of libtards in D.C.? Yes, I'm 20 minutes away from them. I say bad words all the time. So, Sean, that's great. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. There are people across the country who have now, if Donald Trump can do it, he sounds like me. Maybe I can do it too. And so when Donald Trump tweets bad words, when he calls somebody a nickname, okay, whether it's Little Marco or Sneaky Feinstein or even Sloppy Steve, when Donald Trump says a bad word, a cuss word, what he's telling us, what he's saying, what he does for us, the American people, is give us our government back. Give us our opportunity, our thinking, that we ourselves, real human beings with real tongues that say real bad words, can actually participate in the government. And we don't have to be these Stepford politicians, and we don't have to be groomed. We don't have to know the right people. We just have to bust our butts, raise a bunch of money, get through the very vicious process. As many of my MAGA candidates will know, it's a very vicious process. So thank you, Donald Trump, for saying the word shithole. That's my conclusion on that. Thank you, Donald Trump. Please keep tweeting. Please keep cussing. Please keep being a real human being. That is the president I elected. I elected the man who is honest enough to call a shithole country a shithole country. And if you on the left, or you never Trumpers, or whoever you are around the country, if you don't like that we have elected a real citizen who speaks real human talk, Guess what? Too bad. Right there. Too bad, because we're going to elect him again in 2020. We are taking this country back. And not only are we going to elect him, we're going to elect a lot more citizens who say a lot more bad words. So watch out, PC culture. Words about to get bad. Now, let's talk just a few minutes. Yes, Cindy says, what's funny is left becomes offended by cuss words. We have all said and act so moral when they're nothing but moral. They're nothing but immoral. They're all immoral. You listen to a rap song, you can't even play it in public. Okay? I know, I try. I like a little rap music now and then. You can't play that stuff around people. There might be children hearing. People give you the eyeball because there's cuss words blaring out in your stereo. It's constant cussing. It's totally fake. PC is a lie. PC is always a lie because nobody is actually perfect. Everybody actually has flaws. We have raw edges. We say bad words. It's just the facts. So, you guys, we got a lot of candidates. We got a lot of work to continue to do going forward in our electoral system. Donald Trump has opened the door for us. He's opened the door for a lot of candidates across the country. And I am proud to be a part of helping all those candidates through Stand with POTUS PAC. So let me show this little thing right here so the FEC won't get mad at me. But I want everybody to go. If somebody could do me a favor, type standwithpotus.com right here in the comments and put that link up there. I'll pin that to the top of the page. Stand with POTUS is a PAC. We are put together to help the MAGA community, support the presidency of Donald Trump, help make America great again, and to continue to help our MAGA candidates get in fix our government, make our government great again, make our country great again, make citizen rule so important. Yep, Cindy, do me a favor, put Stand with POTUS, www.standwithpotus.com, so it'll make a little link if you could. That's so great. Because it won't let me, I don't know why I can't type. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Mary. So yeah, you guys are great. And you follow instructions. So I really love my listeners. Because you're smart people. You engage the conversation. We have great conversations here on the page. And you're on top of it. You know, and if you can listen to me rant like this for an hour about some serious topics on a regular basis, you obviously got some stuff going up on you. There's a meritocracy even in this show. And y'all got a lot of merit. That's what I'm saying. I'm really proud of all the people that come and tune in. We have a great group of people. So please keep tuning in. And if you get a chance, please go to Stand with POTUS PAC and help us support some of the things that we are trying to do for the MAGA community across the country. We're going to have a MAGA lounge at CPAC so we can start to bring together some of these conservatives at CPAC here in DC and to coordinate strategies across the country for the MAGA movement. We're obviously working on the MAGA database. We will be working on all sorts of projects to support candidates and voter registration around the country. So go to Stand with POTUS. If you're watching this now, if you're watching the replay, go to standwithpotus.com. If you have some money to donate, feel free. I appreciate all. We as a group appreciate every dollar that we can use to help the movement. Mary, that's so true. Mary says, if you expect candidates to be perfect, you better accept that they will lie to you because nobody's perfect. Amen, amen, amen. Thank you, Kim. And if you could all do me a favor, when you go to Stand with POTUS, take a look at what we're doing there. Even if you can't donate, please share the page to your Facebook with a little note. Let people know what Stand with POTUS is about, that we're here supporting the MAGA movement, supporting the president's agenda, helping elect people who are going to help the president enact his agenda, and coordinating and organizing MAGA people across the country to be ready to elect the president again in 2020, which is what we're going to do. Isn't that great? Chris, you're so sweet. He says, I get the facts and laugh my ass off at the same time. Walter Cronkite never did that. You're right. I am so much better for your health because not only are we getting informed in our brains, but you're laughing, so you're burning calories. You're getting some cardio going. It's like a workout for your, it's like an ab workout. A good laugh. You ever laugh so hard your abs hurt the next day? You're welcome. I'm just pointing that out. So, you guys, that's our show today. Enjoy the shitstorm out there, okay? Of the media, because they're going to be talking about this for a few days. But in the meantime, tomorrow we'll come back. It's Saturday. We'll do some question and answer. But I might throw in a few bit of news bits about what our president is getting done behind the scenes while the media is freaking out, okay? Because one of the fun things we've all learned Sometimes if you just let the kid temper tantrum in their room, you can go get some house chores done. Okay? And that's what we're going to do. While the media is throwing their little tantrum, we're going to get some stuff done this week with this great country. So let's make America great again. Let's listen to a little Leather Snake while we go out, you guys. You're watching Trump Talk US. Trump Talk US is affiliated with Stand With POTUS PAC. The FEC requires that I let you know this information. You can find Stand With POTUS PAC at standwithpotus.com. Please share the link. Please share the show. Go to Laser Snake and buy their CD. They're rocking. I love them. Proud to do it. Proud to do the work here. And we will be back again tomorrow doing more work. Talking about our great president making this country great again. One Trump talk at a time, my friends. This is your girl, Suzzanne Monk. As always, Trumping out.